Tubies. It's Psychic Bob. Oh, I tell you, I am so excited to be here tonight. You guys have all been saying, Psychic Bob, we want to see Reiki Reverend. Every time I've been talking about Reiki on my channel, all y'all been saying, where's Reiki Reverend? We got to see him again. So you know Psychic Bob is listening. And I had to pull some strings to get him here tonight. This guy is incredibly busy. He's teaching classes, doing Reiki attunements, running websites, and who knows what else. We're going to find out what all he's into tonight. But I am so glad you guys are here. And it looks like we got a lot of people already gathering. I see Lady Carol's here tonight. Luis Lojo's here. Breezy's here. Christian Drew 1313's here. B. Leclerc. Gav Hines. Gav's here all the way from England. Oh my gosh. Ian is here. IA. Michael's Tarot. Moonfei. Hey, Moonfei. Good to see you. Yay. Colleen Radaba. Hey, Moonfei. I'm going to call you after the show tonight if you're around, okay? Anyways, we'll talk later. Christian Thibodeau's here. Darla Bungard. Tanya B. Oh my gosh, so good to see all of you. Wow. Well, I know a lot of you are new here and weren't here when we had Reiki Reverend on before, but those of you who were here, you were really excited. Y'all said, boy, who is this guy you work with? I said, he was sent from God. I'm telling you, I really believe the spirit. Just to give some background, last year I felt led by spirit to open up the Reiki channel. I had an amazing experience with Reiki in my life where a Reiki healer healed my knee that was really damaged and literally healed it within an hour to total healing. And it had an injury that had lasted for like over 2 weeks. And I've never forgotten it. And I started researching Reiki. And I tell you, with Reiki, you got to be careful. Like any field, like psychics, like healers, like anything, there are good and there are bad. And I tell you, before I searched, I said, Spirit, you send me a teacher who can help me understand Reiki. You can help me find the path. If I'm called to this, I felt like I was being called to embrace Reiki as part of my journey. And I tell you, literally by chance, I hit a button on my keyboard and up popped this ad for Reiki Reverend. And I said, oh my God. Now you talk about asking for a sign. You ask for a sign, you get a sign. So I reached out to Reiki Reverend last year and I've been taking my time. What's that?
It's already been a year.
It has been a year. Well, see, I'm a slow learner. A lot of people get through their studies a lot quicker. But Psychic Bob is so busy, you guys know, that I had to slow things down and just try to get it together. But anyways, I'm working on my Reiki still. I just got my 2nd degree. And I want to introduce to you now formally, for those of you who don't know him, Reiki Reverend. Hi, Reiki Reverend.
Love and light, brother. Love and light, everyone.
Love and light. Well, everybody's been excited about you being here. And Justin C. just said, hey, glad to see Reiki Reverend. He healed me big time. So you just got a shout out from Justin C. Is that nice?
Yeah, I remembered him. When I was listening to your viewers, I felt like someone I knew was there.
There you go. We'll see, you're picking it up. Reiki Reverend's incredibly psychic, He's not only just a healer, he's very tuned into the spirit, and he's channels, and he does everything. And Reiki Reverend, I thought maybe you could just tell us a little bit about maybe your background. Like, how did you start in Reiki, and how long have you done it?
Okay. Well, let's see. I was first attuned to the Reiki 1 in 2009.
Wow.
It was, 2009. I had a mentor, actually. It was interesting that week. He told me, he was a Reiki master, and that was only because, I had found his certificate, and, I'd bugged him about it a couple of times. Just because he was a little bit closed off about his personal life. He was there to kind of help me through my time, and there wasn't too much about him that he really wanted to share. But that was one of those things that we did have a pretty long conversation about. And then that weekend, we went out to a campground in Pennsylvania where I was attuned to the first level of Reiki. By chance, it was a workshop that was going on early in the morning, and I told myself, okay, if this is really my path, if this is really where I need to be, then chances are I'm going to be up in time to get down there. And lo and behold, I probably woke up with about 12 minutes to spare to make it from my camp area down to the place where it was being held. But that was one of the most memorable experiences in my life when it comes to healing. Before that point, I had been working with spirit. Just as a child, I was connected and I was really sensitive, but there were times in my life where I questioned that, and even up to that point, wondering where it was all either going to lead me, or going to be all just for the one reason, and then everything else kind of falls off, as life can be rather unpredictable.
Oh,
But
yes.
this weekend, that weekend, I had met the woman like quite briefly, but she had a really interesting energy about her. I can't place her name right now, unfortunately, but she had a very beautiful way of explaining Reiki, and she did it all while looking us in the eyes, channeling Reiki to a young man who had volunteered with knee pain, and she
Wow.
did so casually, so eloquently, and I was at that point really interested in who she was, because she wasn't sitting there just saying, laying on hands after saying a prayer, or going through 30 minutes of ritual, what have you, before she laid on hands. She simply allowed Reiki to flow through her and into the recipient, into the person, and his pain went from about an 8, I believe it was, to about a 2 in a matter of 5 minutes.
Wow.
And that's when I was pretty much sold on the idea, that not only could Reiki help me heal, because at that point I also knew that Reiki was mental, emotional, and spiritual healing, but it could also help me develop myself in a way that I can use as a discipline to assist others. Um, like I had said before, I'd been working with spirit for a good number of years before that point, but I didn't have a lot of direction, and I knew that I wanted my path to carry a lot of light behind it, because of my history, with a lot of different paths. I had a lot of different friends, basically. And when you get into the world of spirit, sometimes, just like going out into the world, you don't meet the right people the first time, or you don't interact with the right people all the time. And because of that, you can make certain decisions. And I didn't make any bad decisions, but my mindset was not indicative of a positive future, simply because I didn't know where the spirit was leading me, and I was willing to go whatever lanes I could to find out. But Reiki
Wow.
gave me a direction. Reiki gave me healing, that healing touch, no pun intended, that I needed to rewire my thinking and learn how to shape my future for the positive. The 5 Reiki principles was number one in that, because it taught me how to frame my thoughts, and not necessarily just gives me like directions. Just for today, I will not worry, for instance. When we meditate on just for today, I will not worry, it's a matter of being mindful, present, and having that serenity for the things that we can't change. But all of that's in one little package. So
Wow.
it's a little deceiving. And that's even indicative of Reiki itself. Because after my first attunement, it would be like four years before I would receive my Reiki level 2 attunement, after I'd already been in the military, gotten out of the military, had a series of interesting and unique events happen to me, to where I just happened to be couch surfing on the woman's couch who would attune me to Reiki 2.
Wow. You know what? I just realized here, Reiki Reverend, I'm assuming that everybody knows what Reiki is, but maybe we should just do a little brief definition of what Reiki is before we go any further, because I shouldn't make assumptions like this. But I think most of you know that Reiki is a type of healing, but maybe you could elaborate on defining that a little more for us.
Certainly. Reiki, as you'll read, is a universal life force. It's a method of using universal life force to enact healing on a person, or to heal a person. But put in the most simplest of concepts, It's allowing the breath of life, or the inherent intelligence of life, to work through you and heal another person. By touching someone and willing them well, by saying, I wish you well, you are inherently channeling Reiki. By sitting there and kissing your son or your daughter on a place of their wound, then you are inherently channeling Reiki to them. When you rub, something that hurts, your arm or your shoulders, your eyes, when you massage your head, you're channeling Reiki to yourself in this most natural of a state. What the Reiki practitioner learns is how to open up more to that healing life force and use that universal life force to um, improve their lives. So it's almost like when we first learn how to walk, we're just learning how to walk passively. We don't really know what to do with it. We don't quite know where we're going. We just see a thing and we know we want to get there. But when you start walking, you then learn how to run. And you learn how to run because, again, instincts. So when you learn how to heal first, it's instinct. Well, the discipline of Reiki is learning how to use our instincts to heal on an energetic level, wherever we may need to be healed. And that's on a collective level. So it knows. It knows you better than you may know yourself because it is the book of life, the universe.
This is amazing. Now Reiki, has a historical cultural background too, doesn't it? And it comes out of
Yeah.
Japan.
Yes. Reiki is a form of healing that originated in Japan. Dr. Mikao Usui or Master Mikao Usui, respectively, um, he developed the technique while on Mount Kurama, meditating for 21 days. He did this because, as the story would go, someone challenged him in his way of thinking that we can heal mind, body, and spirit through simple breath work and energy healing by channeling ki. But he asked most specifically if he could heal on the level of Jesus, according to the lore. And because Mikao Usui was one to accept the challenge, he did take that to heart, and he understood that in order for people to understand that this is something that can be done, in order for people to accept healing on all levels in its most natural of a state, I have to create a framework. And he had already had the framework because of his history in his history in the Buddhist faith, or in the Buddhist practice. My apologies. But if Buddhist practice faith, it's anyway. In any case, because of his history with Buddhism, he understood that there was methods of healing already introduced to the world, but it wasn't all together. There was a key missing, and that key came when he meditated for the 21st day on Mount Kurama and was struck by light. That light was his attunement to the universe, attunement to the universal life force. You can consider it God, you can consider it Holy Spirit, but inherently it is the spark of man, or the spark of life, the spark of
I
consciousness.
Could we even call it Buddha power? Is that possible?
That's very possible.
The reason I ask that is, as I've been working with Reiki, I feel like I've been having this, I guess I've called a mystical connection with the Buddha. And for those of you who weren't here last night, I showed a new pendant. This was one of my treats to myself to celebrate my new Reiki 2 attunement. And I got myself a pendant of the healing Buddha. In Japanese, it's called Yakushi Butsu, or Yakushi Buddha. And he's a blue Buddha. And a lot of Reiki people, from what I understand, draw power from this Buddha and work with him. Are you familiar with this Buddha, Reiki Reverend?
No, I'm not. But if I were to lend some type of thought towards him, I feel like the blue Buddha, blue being inherent in the throat chakra, would aid with communication. And so if he is a healing Buddha, that would be perfect because it would assist with communicating on an energetic level. So you could channel through the Buddha, or with the Buddha, the healing vibrations of Reiki, and using his energy, communicate
I love
on many more levels a lot simpler.
Well, when we do Reiki, we open the channel. I've been calling on this Buddha to help me as well. And I do feel that I have some sort of mystical link going on with him. You know, it's really interesting. In fact, I have another picture here I was going to show you guys. This is just a little larger picture so you can get a better sense. This Buddha, he's a
Oh,
deep kind of a sapphire blue colored. And it's kind of hard. I don't have the best lighting here, but he's sitting and he's holding in his one hand, in his right hand, he's holding a flower of healing, an herb. You can't really see it because the picture's kind of dark. But and then in his lap, he's holding a bowl of healing ointments. And he's called the healing Buddha or the medicine Buddha. And as I've been
Medicine
reading,
Buddha, that's more recognizable.
yes,
I remember hearing of Medicine Buddha.
yeah, and so I've been reading a number of books on Reiki, and there are a lot of Reiki people who have him in their Reiki room or on their altar. And so I just felt this kind of connection, like I'm supposed to connect him. So I've been working with him as part of my development, and I think it's awesome. Now, that Buddha may not be traditionally part of Usui's teachings, but I think Reiki just kind of seems to keep expanding, doesn't it? You know,
And
and how
that's the big to do. And that's the best part about Reiki. Actually, like when we take a look at the history of Reiki, when Madame Takata brought Reiki over to the United States to teach it, she reshaped the framework of how Reiki was taught from Japan to the United States.
maybe you
And
can
even
tell them.
before,
Can I interrupt you just a sec? I'm sorry.
yeah, certainly.
Could you tell them who Madame Takata is so that they can understand that?
Yes, most certainly. Madame Takata is the third Reiki Grandmaster in history, and also the first female Reiki Grandmaster in history.
Mm-hmm. And so she came from Japan to the United States. Is that correct?
Well, no, Madame Takata was born in Hawaii, but
Oh.
she ended up in Japan due to, I believe it was a family member passing. She ended up in Japan where she went to meet with eventually she would meet with Dr. Shujiro Hayashi, who is the second Grandmaster of Reiki, by chance, because she was guided away from surgery moments before her operation. And this all goes back into a little bit more of her history. She had a series of unfortunate events occur in her life, both physically and on the world outside of her. And because of that, she was in need of surgery, or at least the doctors told her that she was in need of surgery in order to survive. But she kept getting a message from Spirit: the surgery is not needed, the surgery is not needed, ask. And she finally had asked a doctor about it, and he directed her to Dr. Chujiro's clinic, where she began her lessons. But when she had returned to Hawaii a few years later, Dr. Chujiro Hayashi had begun to precipitate his passing, and that's when she was called back to Japan to receive the title of Grandmaster formally.
See, isn't that amazing? So you see, guys, Reiki Reverend, what he's telling us is that this Reiki practice has a tradition with a lineage, and Reiki Reverend is part of that lineage. I'm now part of that lineage as a Reiki practitioner. And so when you join in on studying Reiki, you get the blessing of being connected back to the grandest of masters, Master Usui. And so, I tell you, Master Usui, I've been praying to him. He's an ascended master as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And I have him on my altar. In fact, I'll go get my picture of him. But while I'm doing that, Reiki River, maybe you could tell people a little bit about your website and some things you're offering.
Oh, most certainly. Currently, I am offering about 9 courses on my website, ReikiReverend.com. Those courses all include a few benefits to students, like a chat room that they can kind of break out in, ask questions amongst each other, just discuss freely. Also offer free email and text-based mentoring just for, whenever you have a quick question or a burning desire or need to get some information. I also offer to students 30% discount on all my courses. So once you're in, you are valued, and I do go out of my way to make sure that my students are well taken care of. Aside from that, I'm also starting, well, just started today, Patreon website. That's patreon.com/Reiki Reverend, where I will be offering content that I will be specifically curating and developing for my patrons, with the future goal of making it all stick together very nicely to be brought to everyone and anyone possible. Essentially, I want to make Reiki as widely available as possible, but at the same time, honor my ancestry, honor, divinity, and of course, honor my own energy and the energy of my family, who's thankfully letting me be here, providing this for you all today. My lovely girlfriend, she's amazing, watches the kids for me while I do things like this, and I can't thank her enough.
And I thank
But
her too. She was very kind to let me steal you away for an hour.
but in any case, on the expansion of Reiki, it is my inherent belief, as well as the goal of Madame Takata, and as she would embody it within the late Phyllis Furimoto. The
Oh,
late
yes.
Phyllis Furimoto. She recently passed away due to cancer. She was our last Grandmaster from Japan. I believe the next Grandmaster who was named, he is from Germany, if memory serves. But in any case, on Lineage and on the expansion of Reiki, your lineage or your connection to the lineage is an inherent developed connection to Reiki that will in more ways be a lot easier for you to digest than if you were to attempt to channel Reiki and attune yourself, or if you were to have someone who is not attuned to a lineage attune you. This isn't to speak ill of anyone of any path, because I know some healers who started from zero without any knowledge of Reiki at all, and just went to spectacular places. I actually have some of his articles in my blog about Carlos Cunha, one of my students. But in any case, Reiki is consistently expanding, and as such, we have to allow ourselves to expand with that universal life force. And being as that, I don't feel like we should hold all elements of energy healing behind a curtain. I don't feel like we should allow people to feel like they need to be in dire straits in order to understand healing, feel like they need to be rich and famous in order to understand healing. And Bob, I love what you're doing with those psychic groups that you're holding, where
Oh,
you're teaching people. That's
my
such
weekly
an
psychic
amazing thing,
development.
brother.
Thank you so much. Yes, I think that we as light workers have an obligation to be available to people in a way that does not hinder them. Because I'll tell you, and I know you know this too, there are people in the Reiki community as well as in the psychic community who decide that they're going to make a lot of money off of people, and they try to charge $10,000 to get a class or an attunement. And I've seen it where I live. It's a very wealthy area. I'm not wealthy, but it's a wealthy area. And I went to look at local Reiki training before I met Reiki Reverend, and they were asking me for $2,000 up front cash before they'd even get me a Reiki 1 attunement. And I said, well, I just felt like that was beyond what I wanted and could do. And so when I found Reiki Reverend, not only are his prices good, by the way, I want to say something about money too. Don't let his prices deceive you. His prices are very affordable. And don't think, well, I guess he's not that good. He's not a, $1,000 a minute Reiki person. Listen, he does this as a calling. It's not a job. We don't do jobs. You guys have heard me say this. Spiritual workers who are really committed, we have a calling. We charge enough that we can afford to at least sustain ourselves, but we're not here making millions of dollars. And Reiki Reverend could make a lot more money, but he chooses not to because he understands what our master, this is Master Yusui, by the way. This is the founder of Reiki, and I keep this on my altar. And I value him so much, I put him in a silver frame. Okay, so that tells you my reverence for him. And Master Usui never made any money hardly off Reiki, but the whole world has changed because of it. And my life has
He
changed
did
because.
understand something very interesting, though.
What's that?
I said he did have a very interesting lesson when it came to offering it completely for free, though.
Yes.
When he would when he would channel to the beggars in city, he found that they would consistently come back for Reiki instead of trying to work on themselves to heal. Um, they would just continue to come back. It was easier to come back for Reiki than it was to work on themselves, and that was their whole thing. So Master Usui understood, and that's why he implemented in a decent portion of his practices when it came to when it came to working out that stuff, finances. That if there isn't an inherent value placed either between the recipient or the person and presented, then there isn't going to be a value received. The person may devalue the Reiki no matter how powerful it is, simply because you are offering it freely. And that's not to speak of the person individually, that's to speak of people en masse. Some are really in need and are very thankful when they do receive that gift from Spirit in the form of a Reiki practitioner or master. However, there are those who specifically look for free, and those people may or may not find that their path is a lot more difficult when they do find themselves with a need that has a dollar sign behind it.
I agree with you. I think you're saying the absolute truth. And so, for those of you, we had Ian in chat earlier he said, how can I learn Reiki? Well, what do you say to somebody who's like, if we got people in chat say, this sounds amazing, where do I start? What should they do?
Well, for right now, you're more than welcome to check out ReikiReverend.com. From there, I have all my courses set up. It's pretty quick 1, 2, 3 process. Just click the Learn Reiki from Home or Learn Healing from Home link. Scroll down to the nice little bars. Select your custom package, and there you go. Within 24 hours, generally 24 to 48 hours, I respond to requests made from there, and I communicate with the student, make sure that they didn't accidentally push a button, and then from there I go ahead and send them their course content, and we start the communication there. I believe that it's very important to get a hold of your students as quickly as possible when it comes to like valuing their value of the course and the coursework. So if there is any problem whatsoever, you're always more than welcome to contact me via the contact me page, or you're more than welcome to just bug Psychic Bob. I'm sure he wouldn't mind calling me.
Oh, heck yeah. If you can't find him or have a problem, contact me. I'll link you up with Reiki Reverend. So guys, yeah, so please visit ReikiReverend.com. His website's really nicely laid out. For those of you who really feel like, I really want to really get even more connected, you need to go over and join his Patreon page. And can you tell us that page again?
Yeah, sure. That's patreon.com/Reiki Reverend. Right now, you will see one membership tier up, and that is actually at the introductory price of $22. It will be going up to $33 probably in the next 48 hours, but I will also be adding 2 more tiers to that, and 2 of them will include coursework and certification, up to 1 course per patron. That will also get you access to 2 coaching sessions with me, as well as some other really awesome goodies that I'm not going to ruin for now. If you want to find out, more than welcome to follow me on Patreon.
Oh, that is so exciting. I think I'm going to have to go sign up for that. I can't get enough of Reiki Reverend. I tell you, I'm really addicted to his teachings. And, Reiki Reverend, you've been very patient with me. I've not been one of your best students. I've let things slide. But you know what? Whenever I get together with you and have a session, everything just gets back on track. And,
And
you
that's
guys.
the beauty of Reiki.
What's that? I'm sorry?
That's the beauty of Reiki and this level of work. I have students who will be months at a time, from messaging me, contacting me, and I'm perfectly fine with that because I know that spirit works on spirit's terms. And for me to crunch you behind a month or a 2-month course or an outlook, that gives you expectations to push yourself potentially into a corner or to feel like you have to succeed. And this work is not about success or failure. It's about being present in oneself and being present with the universe. So whenever you are ready, I am ready. And that's why Reiki says, whenever you are ready for Reiki, a master will find you. The Reiki
Well,
will find you.
let me tell you, this is truer words have not been spoken, because I truly, Reiki Reverend was honestly the answer to my prayer. I looked at a lot of different Reiki people and I couldn't find anybody that either was reasonably priced or that even I felt I could trust, because you have to have a trust with your teacher because you open up very deep levels. And, those of you who have had private sessions with me, you know that it's a sacred trust of opening your soul with somebody. And a true practitioner will always honor that. And when I met Reiki Reverend, I instantly knew, I said, this is somebody I really feel an attunement with and a rapport with. And I know will help me get what I need to get out of this. Because there are teachers out there who'll say, pay me $10,000, and then they won't teach you anything. They'll just, give you a piece of paper, but you're not learning. I actually have sessions with Reiki Reverend where I sit down, and part of his courses, he'll outline it for you on his website, but you get coaching sessions as you go through your studies. So like I had actual live time meetings with him. It wasn't just like, oh, here's a book, go figure it out. He walked me through all my questions. All right, Reiki, how do I do this hand position? I'm not sure if does it go this way? Does it go this way? And he would actually walk me through that so I could learn how to do stuff physically. And I tell you, he gives you an attention and a focus and a detail that makes your study go to really a much higher level than I think a lot of people give. And so I cannot emphasize enough, you will not regret it. You will thank me forever for introducing you to Reiki Reverend. So go sign up with him, get some classes, join his Patreon. You also have a YouTube channel. I forget to promote your YouTube channel. So what is your YouTube channel?
My YouTube channel is Reiki Reverend. It's the same name. The only thing I do have that goes by a different name is my podcast, A Healer's Musings. Speaking of, those people who are subscribed to A Healer's Musings, I have not forgotten about you. I just have really amazing things planned, and I want to make sure the timing is just right.
Okay. So you know what? We're going to be seeing a lot more Reiki Reverend because he's really, going to be expanding his media presence. And I'm excited because, Reiki Reverend, I'm just going to say it here, not to stress you out, but I kind of get the feeling watching the chat that a lot more people want to see a lot more of you. So I think you're going to be a little more regular here if you have time for it,
I am game.
We'll find a way to steal him from his family. I tell you, his girlfriend is very kind because Reiki Reverend, you have a wonderful family. You got children that you look after, and that's a full-time job. So Reiki Reverend divides his time between caring for children, raising children with enlightenment. Reiki Reverend, a lot of parents don't have any spiritual focus, and I think it messes up their family life. Your children are so blessed to be raised by you. And I really mean that because I know every interaction with you, I've had sometimes where your children have come into the room and there's just a true love that you have. And I think it comes from your love, your spiritual connection goes through every facet of your life. And that's a sign of a real master to me, because it's not like you're one person with your family and then you're one person with your Reiki people. You are consistent in every aspect of your life. I think that is really nice to see,
Well,
So,
I actually made a really interesting, it wasn't a meme, it was more just a little image, but I like it. And I think I'll share, I was saying, I'm not a mean person. I'm just fractal. Your vibration gets my emanation.
I love that. I love that. Oh my gosh. Well, you know, Raven Moth's here. She just put in comment. She said, yes, Reiki Reverend's energy is like gentle sunshine. I like it. Thank you, Raven Moth.
Thank you,
Moonfei,
Raven.
yay. Moonfei, who's a by way of fan of yours. I talked to Moonfei today and she said, is he going to be on tonight? I said, yes. She said, just subscribe to your channel, Reiki Reverend. So she's now on your YouTube connection. All y'all
Thank
got to
you.
go over. I need to put your YouTube channel in the info box. I'll do that after the show. I put your
Okay.
website down there, so I'll put your other links. But you guys really want to, take some time, check out his stuff. I promise you, in fact, I will give the people their money back myself. Well, I can't say for everybody, but I'm going to go on that limb because I know you will not be disappointed, Reiki Reverend. If you subscribe a Reiki Reverend's class and you are unhappy, I will be shocked. And I'm going to tell you, I don't believe it'll be Reiki Reverend's fault. He's worth the time. He is worth the money. He is the real deal. And in a world of fake, materialistic people, to find somebody who gives their life to spirit service is very rare. And I'm just I feel blessed. Every encounter I have with him, I come away so amazed. It's taken me all week to kind of, get back into balance because my Reiki attunement was so powerful. And
It's going to
it's
take up to 21 days, by the way.
say that again. I'm sorry.
It's going to take up to 21 days. Generally, like 14 to 21 days is when your energy levels will start to regulate. But just be sure to drink plenty of water if you haven't already.
Thank you. I needed that because I was like, I was going to ask you, but I was going to say, I still feel like the energy's going wildly through. And it's not upsetting. It's really nice, but it's like, wow, it's definitely going on. So Christian Druid in the chat just said, love Reiki Reverend. Oh, isn't that great? Justin C said, subscribe to your channel as well. Yay. Ian, who's out of Colombia, says, I'm going to sign up. I love chakras and therapy. I love chakra therapy. By the way, speaking of classes, guys, I'm going to be starting on another class of Reiki Reverend soon. You used to have an offering. It's been a while since I saw, but you were going to teach, or you were teaching class on how to attune to the Akashic records.
Yeah.
Are you still doing that class, offering that?
Yeah.
All right. Well, so you're going to see Psychic Bob over there registering for that soon. Okay. Because I feel like I want to do some work in that area as well. Reiki Reverend, what are some other areas you do outside of Reiki, like that you cover?
Well, I'm also a spiritual life coach. I do coaching in wellness, business, and spirituality. So, if you ever have anything you want, like direct guidance with, like learning how to channel, or even just learning how to be more present, mindful in life, or even connect it all back to spirit, because sometimes that can be difficult. I'd be more than happy to help you with that. If you need help trying to get organized in your life or get motivated towards a goal or objective, I'm more than happy to assist. And my number one reason for my success is because I am a solo entrepreneur. I have done most of this work by myself. I built my own website and YouTube pages, done my own marketing to an extent, ads. But other than that, I have a lot of experience in different areas of the field. So I'm always willing to assist no matter what your needs are.
See, he does a lot of stuff. So you'll get a lot of it. Just got a note here in chat. Stardust C, who I know. She says, hi, Psychic Bob. I think I will try Reiki Reverend to see if he can help me. It sounds exciting. Yay. Stardust C, go sign up with him. You will thank me for life. I'm being a little selfish here because part of me didn't even want to tell anybody ever about Reiki Reverend. Because once I met him, I thought, I got my wonderful teacher. Even though I'm a spiritual teacher, I need to learn still. And I'm always developing. And I found Reiki Reverend and I thought, I'm not going to tell anybody because I don't want him to have his time taken by anybody. I want him all to myself. But you know what? I can't be that selfish. And Reiki Reverend's already reaching the world, so I might as well just let the cat out of the bag and let you guys have access to him. As much as I wanted to keep him hidden, I can't do it, and it's not fair to the world. So you guys got to go. There's the site. I'm going to keep telling us so they don't forget, ReikiReverend.com, you know. So I am just so thankful that you're here. And I was wondering if anybody in the chat has questions about Reiki or questions for Reiki Reverend. Here's a question. Ghostly Girl says, question, why Reiki works wonders for some and is the opposite for others?
That's a good question. What it mainly, well, mainly is a kind of a loose end term. But what I feel it comes down to is a few factors. And the number one factor, before I get too deep into the other two, is your inherent receptiveness to the channel. And that has nothing to do with your conscious will, conscious desires. From there, it's subconscious. If you are not comfortable with the practitioner, not comfortable with the moment, not comfortable in general, if you are closed up, walled up to the point where your family could not help you calm down, then there may be a need that Reiki cannot work with directly in the now. And if that's the case, then, by all means, please, find a way to get help. And, any practitioner of caliber will tell you the same thing. If you are in a situation where your needs are not being able to be met with Reiki exclusively, then please, by all means, go get help. Reiki will always be there waiting for you. The other two factors come in to the part of the channel of the master or practitioner. Sometimes we can either get bogged down with work, or we can just not be feeling it, so to speak. And that goes on multiple levels. Either you're having an off day, or you just haven't been on Reiki from the beginning, and you're unable to facilitate a proper channel. In that case, despite the person's willingness before you, or before, you metaphorically, my apologies for speaking to you directly, but the person before you is, very open to Reiki, maybe even attuned to Reiki, and just passively going through, in ceremony or something of that nature, they're going to receive it on a different level than that person who's more walled off.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you for that. That's amazing. So it'll work in time. And I like what you said. Reiki will be there when you're ready for it. I love that. Got another question from chat. Lady Carol asks, isn't Reiki a journey into self as well?
Yes. Reiki is in the cell. Reiki is in the cells. Reiki is in the micro cells. As I live and breathe, I emanate Reiki. Wherever the air may touch, the universe will flow, and therefore, that is a spot that Reiki can go.
Isn't that wonderful? Yes, I agree. Here's a good question. Raven Moth asks, Reiki Reverend, what are your thoughts on using light language with Reiki? That's interesting.
To me, light language is it's a coded form of releasing energy. In that you may or may not be inherently channeling will from or energy from the universe or aspects of the universe. That's when things get a little bit more complex, because the light language, depending on who's channeling the light language, their intentions could be very little more than symbols or sigils, if you're familiar with that term. If they're using it in pictures or artwork, this could be especially dominant. However, if they are using it by the tongue, then it very well could possibly be coming from higher source, channeled through them. I myself was taught how to channel the language of the angels from a young age. I just choose not to for the most part, because I trust and have enough faith in my connections with the angels to not need it in most situations. However, there have been times when I will go out of my way to channel the language of the angels. But when I do, I almost always do a prayer of intention and make sure that all is understood between both parties before I channel. It's no fun to, and forgive, to speak a foreign language. It's no fun to speak a foreign language in front of someone when they don't understand what you're saying. And the same goes with light language. If you're unable to state your intentions before yourself, before the universe, before the recipient, then you may not need to channel light language, and you may just need to stick to Reiki.
Okay. Well, there you go. Very insightful. Here's a question. Moonfei. Hi, Moonfei. Moonfei says, does Reiki give you a spike of energy? And if so, how long does it take to get used to the new energy? Well, I'm going to just tell you, as somebody who just had a Reiki session, it does. It gave me a spike of energy. How long does it take? I don't know. I've been going a week. Reiki Reverend, what do you say? You said it's going to be a little longer, probably. Could you tell?
After a Reiki attunement, the Reiki cycles through your chakras, each individual 3 times. That's up to 21 days, in which the Reiki will be perpetuating itself through your body to expand you, in a way. And through that time, you will receive spikes in energy, surges, different movements of the body in many different ways, depending on you and your own habits, to help transmute you into more of the healing version of you, or a healer version of you, depending on your intentions or goals. Some people learn Reiki simply to keep up with themselves, to do self-maintenance, and never aspire to teach others. And that's a perfectly valid goal. But other things involving Reiki and energy spikes, that can vary on the needs of the person. If a lot of energy was released in the Reiki session, then more likely than not, you will end up feeling that surge. However, if a lot of energy was if the energy was grounded during a Reiki session instead, for instance, if you were in a place of depression, anger, sadness, things of that nature, emotional dystrophy, there we go, then when you are grounded via Reiki session, you may go completely the opposite direction and feel extremely tired or worn. In these occasions, sometimes it's up to the practitioner to help guide the recipient in that manner. Aftercare is important either way. Drinking water, keeping a healthy diet or a lighter diet than you normally would after a session can be very helpful either way, to 1, ground you, or 2, to help elevate you a little bit, get your energy back. But in the case of the final, it depends on what you need Reiki to do for you.
All right. Wonderful. Thank you. We got a few more questions if you have just a few minutes. Is that okay?
Certainly.
All right. We got a lot of people asking questions tonight. Luis Loja, his question is, can Reiki Reverend teach me about my healing abilities? I feel like I'm a healer. I've healed wounds and other cuts with my energy. If yes, would taking your class help me on that?
That's a good question. And I say that's a good question because you were one of the types that I've spoken of earlier, that you are skilled in healing and you are in need of direction. Or you may not be in need of direction, but you may just be curious enough about another discipline to add it to your roster. When I first learned Reiki and mastered 2012, 2013, it wouldn't be until 2016, the 3rd time I achieved mastery in Reiki, because I took the coursework 3 times through different people, just to ensure that I had the knowledge, that I felt confident in my ability to teach and work with it. In that, the learning experiences themselves are building. The learning experiences inherent in Reiki can be translated to many different types of healing or intuitive work. Your inherent connection to Reiki, once enhanced through attunement, can improve your psychic senses. In that, you are able to enhance or improve your ability to heal or work with a recipient of your healing technique just by attunement or by proxy of learning of Reiki. Yeah, it's actually interesting you mentioned that. That's one of the tiers that I'm planning on working on most diligently in Patreon. When that comes out in a few days, my 3rd tier is going to be dedicated specifically to people who have the gift of healing or who understand healing and are in need of a little bit of shape or direction to get in the right path. Maybe not necessarily a full course, but just some guidance.
I love this. See, guys, wow, so amazing. Daniel Moore has a good question here, and he says, "Can you see me doing Reiki? I feel a draw to healing of all kinds, but I have had a hard time trusting due to past things. How can I break through more of my barriers?" Wow, that's a good question.
That's a beautiful question. So there are two ways. That I could say you can definitively get to Reiki. The one best way is to ask and allow Reiki to come to you. In that, you may be given opportunities to work on yourself on life's terms, or maybe perhaps you are able to come across a coach or someone who's able to assist you with your concerns in a way that is building. Some people, when they broach the topic of shadow work or working through your inner resistances, they do it in different ways. For instance, I could guide you through a hypnotherapy session, as I'm also certified in that. But if your issues weren't necessarily subconscious, I wouldn't go immediately to hypnotherapy. I'd want to coach you first. I'd want to talk to you. If we were able to facilitate communication where we can break down things and work on it that way, perfect. If not, then perhaps the other method of acquiring Reiki would work out better for you, and that's to simply seek Reiki. When you take any course in Reiki and you receive the attunement to Reiki, Reiki begins working on you, as I said, to help shape you into a healer. And that process can be as light or as rough as needed. If you feel like that type of work is needed, then perhaps receiving the attunement before doing the inner work will help you propel further on the inner work.
You know, I just want to add in my personal experience here. Right before my Reiki 2 attunement, I was having some blocks in some of my developmental areas that I was working on with my practice. And I was honest with Reiki Reverend. I said, I don't know if I can be attuned yet because I'm still having these struggles. And he said, "You're ready. You can be attuned." And what was interesting is the areas that I had blocks in opened right after the attunement, like literally that night. You know, I had some areas of learning I just couldn't grasp. I won't go into all the details because it's long, but the attunement process helped me, you know, in that process. So yeah, you know, what I would say is don't be afraid to try. Don't be afraid to risk going forward because it's only going to help your life. By the way, speaking of going forward, Tanya B has a question here. By the way, Reiki Reverend, thank you for taking all these questions.
Not a problem. In fact, I might just be able to take 2 more questions before I have to go make sure that my children are okay. I don't want to stress out my
yeah,
too much.
And I have to go to another meeting, so I'm going to have to wrap it up. Tanya B says, and this is a question, this is something actually I've heard before I was into Reiki. I heard that when you take on a Reiki, you have to get very ill to be attuned. And she wrote, when you get attuned to Reiki, do you go through a healing crisis? Interesting. Somebody, because I had heard that you can't be a healer until you've suffered terribly. That's not been my experience.
Believe that's true. That is that's almost to say that you have to make it to rock bottom in order to reach greatness. That's almost like saying you have to know Satan before you can know God, respectively to the religion. That's like you know, I can keep going, but in essence, you are your greatest measuring rod when it comes to your preparedness for a healing journey or a healer's path. Some people do not begin to receive any of the hardships in their lives until they've started on this path, simply because of where life has taken them up until this point. Some people are raised up in very strong, supportive roles in their family. Some people are raised up in very impoverished positions in their family where their placement may not be as necessary, where they have to kind of seek out that need in their own selves to find their place in the world. Some people are just guided, just trip over a stump into a Reiki master or into a Reiki clinic and just let their curiosity run abound. But no matter your chosen path to Reiki or to any form of healing in general, when you begin to work with those elements, they do shift you. So if you need that shift to happen to the point where you hit rock bottom, whether that be through universal interventions tried so many times and eventually it wears down to this point, or by trial by fire sometimes, in the case of the shamanic healer, more often than not, there is a healing crisis or there is a shock by spirit to assist the shaman into entering into the world of spirit most quickly, most vividly, in that they are able to understand the dreamer's world, and when they come back to the realm of man, they understand both. But this isn't always the case either. Some people just have really awesome journeys and it ends well and it just keeps getting better. Mindset number one is the important thing, and letting go of the idea that you have to be in point A in order to reach point B, your desired goal. Sometimes there are requirements to a path, but most times I find than not, when you let yourself get out of your own way with things, how things have to be, then that's when things will shape out to be the best for you. The quote, a great entrepreneur, don't try to reinvent the wheel if it works.
All right, there you go. I'm going to ask you, I'm going to throw one more at you, and you can be as, try to be brief with this because it's a little complex, but I think you can make it succinct. Caden Sowers asks, is Reiki a lifestyle, and how can I practice, and can I practice any religion with it?
Yes.
Okay.
Reiki is not dogmatic. It is not religious. It is spiritual, in that all beings in life have connection or relation to spirit. If you are in fear or in a place of fear from peers or otherwise, my simple relation to Reiki is to prayer healing. My connection to universal life force is God. I understand God light in all forms. So to me, it's not anything different. When I channel Reiki, I'm channeling universal life force. And I know that in my heart and heart. So at the end of the day, what anyone else comes of me is their own perception. If it's to help shape their perception, to help enact healing, and it's honest, more than welcome to say, may I pray for you? May I ask God to work with you? But to answer your question most directly, it is not religious, it is spiritual. The Reiki principles are guidelines. They are not dogmatic, and there is no right or wrong way necessarily to work with Reiki, as long as you choose a path of love and light to work with others for their benefit.
Oh, that's wonderful. Well, I think we're going to end it on that note tonight, guys, because Reiki Reverend has to go. I have to go to meetings too. So, Reiki Reverend, we're going to have your links below in the info box, but tell them again your website just in case they're just listening on an earpads.
Yeah, most certainly. My website is ReikiReverend.com. You can go there to check out all my coursework, my blogs. From there, you'll find a link to my podcast as well, Healer's Musings. That's also available on iTunes. If you have a strong desire to check out my Patreon page, I highly suggest you do. That's patreon.com/ReikiReverend. I will be adding more content there soon, so if you see the one supporter link, feel free to click that if you desire. Otherwise, please give me a follow. Love and light, everyone, and I wish you well.
Thank you so much, Reiki Reverend. Blessings to you. Well, guys, I tell you, we're going to wrap it up tonight. Be back here tomorrow on Monday. What's tomorrow? Monday. Yeah, I'll be here. I'm going to do an oracle card reading tomorrow. And we're going to do a reading either from the Fae oracle cards, probably the Fairy oracle cards, or maybe the Mother Mary deck. We'll see. Anyways, put in the comment box below which deck you want me to read from tomorrow. And please go check out Reiki Reverend. You won't be disappointed. We'll be back here tomorrow for more. And I thank you guys. And until then, may all of you always blessed be. Thank you, Reiki Reverend, for being here tonight.
Thank you so much, Bob. Have a great night.
Thank you. Blessings to you all. Good night.